Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson, and it is my pleasure as the Congregational Life Coordinator to welcome you all to this service at the First Universalist Church of Rochester. If you are here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you and thank you for making it to our worshiping community. We invite you to remain after the service for coffee hour in the Clara Barton Lounge, which you can access through those doors there, or online in the same Zoom link. As our ongoing pulpit swap, we have a guest preacher today. I'd like to introduce Reverend Shari Quan. Reverend Shari serves as the senior minister of First Unitarian Church of Rochester over on Winton Road. They were loved into being by a large extended family in Los Angeles made up of both white and Chinese immigrants who did not come here, quote unquote, the right way, and credits attending a Jesuit university with awakening the hunger that led to Unitarian Universalism. Shari received a BA in economics from Fordham University and a Master's of Divinity at Union Theological Seminary, studying in both places the imperfect science and art of how to do a lot with a little. Prior to ministry, Shari worked in recruitment for the Peace Corps. So welcome, Shari. There is a visitor's form on the back of your order of service that you can fill out or click the link in the chat. We ask you to fill that out if you haven't already so we can offer you a welcome beyond what we can today and so you can stay up to date as to what's happening here at the church. Just a reminder, if you have a big joy or sorrow in your heart this morning, we invite you to write it in the notebook here on the chancel or in the chat on Zoom anytime before the chalice is lit. So now is a good time to do that. A couple of quick announcements. Today after service, the monthly Open Connection Circle is happening in room 23, the chalice room. We also need some painters. If you are willing to do a little painting this Tuesday or Thursday, I would welcome you to reach out to me so we can finish up the renovations of room 21. I am not above bribing with baked goods, so please, if you're willing to paint, we'd appreciate it because next Sunday we have a 6x6 art event in that room for kids at heart and kids in age. And also you can stay next week for the Ripples of Plastic screening here at 2 p.m. or the Preaching and Storytelling Ready to Lead Worship service led by Reverend Eileen. So that's also next week. All right, before we turn to each other, let's turn to our online community. Let's wave towards the Progress Pride flag where the camera is and greet our online worshiping community. We're happy to have you here. If you're online, please pop a greeting into the chat. And if you're here in person, let's take a moment to greet our neighbors this morning.
Good morning, church family. How is everyone this morning? Down? Okay. Good morning. My name is Richard Reed. I'm your surprise speaker this morning. And why I'm up here is to introduce this year's stewardship campaign. And as we have done for several years, we've asked several members of the congregation who do financially support the church if they would be willing to come up and let everyone know why they support the church and what the church means to them. So for the next several weeks, we're going to have different members of our congregation come up and do so. And I'm leading off today. 2 dates I'd like to mention. Next Sunday, 22nd, after church, we will have a short gathering here in the sanctuary where everybody that's present will receive their stewardship packet. And then the other important date is April 19th, which is Stewardship Sunday. And we would hope that you will have your pledge in by that time. As usual, we will celebrate with pie because everybody's a piece of the pie because you all contribute to this wonderful church and what we do. So please remember those dates. So anyway, why do I pledge to this church and support it financially? This church has been a godsend to me. I found this church when I needed it. I first started coming here, I believe it was 2013, and I was slowly emerging from a depression that I had inflicted upon myself after the loss of my mother. And I did a pretty good number on myself. So anyway, you've heard the story that I found this church from riding my bicycle. And we have the Wayside Pulpit, the little board in front of the church that has had the sermon topic on it. And I had to stop for the light. And I saw the topic, and it was Mother's Day weekend. And the topic intrigued me, so I came to church the next day. Now, if my car had not been repossessed, I wouldn't have found this church. So not only was I dealing with my car being repossessed, but my house was 2 steps away from being foreclosed upon. So I could have been a resident in the alcove out here if things hadn't have worked out properly. But they did. Couldn't get the car back, but I saved the house. So anyway, as I said, this church has been very important to me, and it's been here when I've needed it. I was a little bit overwhelmed. Is this too good to be true? I had come, and everybody's warmth and welcoming was just wonderful. But it did sort of overwhelm me. So I had come the Mother's Day weekend, and I was given a very nice reception and brought into the sanctuary, which I fell in love with. And I was told about Peter House, our summer minister, who I came and listened to once that summer and enjoyed that, and came back in the fall. But I was overwhelmed, and I left for a period of time, and about 6 months, and then I came back because I knew this was the place. And someone heard me sing and said, you should think about joining the choir. So I did, and I still am a member of the choir. I've been privileged to serve on the Board of Trustees. I have worked with FIAC. I've served on the nominating committee, and I currently serve on the finance committee and help with the stewardship campaign. In 2017, I finally decided to join the church. And what a wonderful thing that I did. That year, I also attended NISCU, which is the New York State Convention of Universalists, for the first time. That year, it was in Albany. And who should I meet while I was there but our beloved minister, Reverend Eileen Casey-Campbell, who was serving as in an interim position then. And I knew she was special then, and by George, she's still special, and we know how lucky we are to have her as our settled minister. We're very fortunate. So in getting involved with NISCU, it's also enriched my life because I've gotten to meet Unitarian Universalists from throughout the state. And I was asked to join the finance committee, which I did and still am on. And then last fall, I stuck my neck out and I said, well, I might be interested in being on nominating. And so I became on the nominating committee also. And it's been a pleasure, like I say, to serve with this church and also on the broader spectrum with NISCU. And it's certainly enriched my life. I thank each and every one of you for your impact that you've made on me. And like I say, I just can't say enough good about the church, and so this is why I pledge financially. Now, another thing real quick, it's also important to volunteer. And at our leadership assembly at the end of the month of February, we talked about building community. And what a wonderful way to build community other than to volunteer and get to know people and do things with other people, both inside and outside the church, whether it be a social justice or it should be a cleanup in the church, working in the garden. And then also, another way to get involved is through our yearly auction. We have items that are put out to bid on, and there are wonderful dinners, there's tea socials, all sorts of things where you can bid and you can go and you can become part of the community further. So again, my dear church family, thank you so much, and I love you all.
Please rise and body your spirit for our opening hymn, number 188.
I forgot. Good thing you're involved. Yeah, I'll sneak down.
I also wish to extend a warm welcome to Reverend Shari. It's a pleasure to have you back in our pulpit today. This is why I come to First Universalist Church. We all have a deep longing for connection, but we also have a need for purpose, to somehow matter. As Viktor Frankl said in Man's Search for Meaning, on reflecting on his 3 years in concentration camps, quote, "Man's search for meaning is the primary motivation in his life," unquote. In hindsight, that sense of meaning or purpose was missing in my life in my mid to late teens. In many ways, I was a train wreck. I was barely getting by in high school. I was clueless about girls. I was drinking too much, and I was the first in my family to fail a course. I somehow graduated and started attending Broome Community College, but dropped out within the first month. I was terrified thinking about telling my father, so knowing that he loved Notre Dame football, I waited until he was watching and Notre Dame was winning. Turned out to be a good choice. He just told me to get a job. So I did. For the next 2 years, I worked at the local newspaper and then went back to the community college part-time. One course was Psychology 101, and I had a professor who was passionate about the subject. He made everything so interesting. He changed my life. 8 years after dropping out of the community college, I earned my master's in social work and was offered a position as a mental health therapist at the psychiatric hospital where I had done my internship. Since then, I've worked as a psychotherapist, including at the Genesee Psychiatric Group, where I met Alice Mahan, who was a member of this church several years ago, and I'm sure probably about half the people here remember her. Alice invited me to First Universalist Church approximately 25 years ago. Jump ahead to 2020 when I retired. I knew that I mattered somewhat and had some purpose, but something was missing. Eventually, with Elizabeth Osta's friendly nudging, I found what was missing by returning to First Universalist Church after a 10-year absence. Eventually, I was asked to become a worship associate, and I was invited to represent our church as a member of the homeless outreach team of Rochester. I feel honored to have these roles. Both have led to significant connections with compassionate people and provided an enhanced sense of meaning. It was also through our church more recently that I learned about the Rochester Rapid Response Network, which I'm in the process of joining. If you don't feel connected or you're lacking a sense of purpose or meaning, see Justin Wilson to discuss opportunities that First Universalist Church has to offer. But right now, come, let us worship together. As Reverend Dick Gilbert comes forward to light our chalice at First Universalist, and you light a chalice in your own homes, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people welcome here to grow in heart and mind, and may we reach out to serve our community. Thank you. Please rise in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. All together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity in fellowship, and that all souls grow harmony, the source and thus do we covenant with each other and with all. I invite you now into the spiritual practice of generosity. Our March Social Justice Plate offering is designated for Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism and Diverse and Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries. Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism started as a small organizing collective in 2015 in Cleveland. They are now a thriving spiritual community and justice-minded organization creating connection for Black people. BLUU is committed to expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within Unitarian Universalism, providing support, information, and resources for Black Unitarian Universalists and justice-making and liberation for Black people. Diverse and Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries is the oldest and largest Unitarian Universalist people of color ministry and anti-racist community organization based in North America. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. This would also be a great time to drop your visitor's form in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words won't cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching out to meet my throne. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Gonna drown him out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
So I'd like to invite the children and those young at heart to come forward and join me for the story. Meanwhile, I'll look around and see that some of you can make it through that song without crying, which feels remarkable to me. I am not one of those. Welcome. Ooh. You all right? Okay, cool. Well, actually, falling has a little bit to do with my story, so that is perfect. Have any of you heard of Alyssa Liu? Have any of you heard of Alyssa Liu? Some of you. Yeah, some of you. Okay, so she won a gold medal for U.S. figure skating last month. She's an ice skater, a figure skater. You've heard of her? Yeah. You're also an ice skater? A hockey player. This is awesome. Well, great. So Alyssa Liu, how old are you? 7, okay. And when did you start skating? Is this your first year? No? Were you 6 when you started? You don't know, it was a long time ago. It could have been 5, it could have been 3. Yeah, so Alyssa Liu also started really young. At 5, she was tiny, really small. Even for a 5-year-old, she was really small. And she was really, really strong. So she could skate fast, and she could jump in the air. And everybody was amazed that this little 5-year-old could jump so well. All her teammates, her father, her family, her coach, they were all amazed at this teeny tiny 5-year-old who could jump. And her legs were strong, and she was proud of that. But she could also skate really fast, and she could be silly, and she loved the way her body felt on the ice. And as she grew older, she could still jump really well. So when she was 12, are any of you 12? I was 12, me too. Cool. Probably some of you, that's also true. So at age 12, Alyssa Liu became the youngest girl to ever do a triple axel, to jump 3 times in the air, which is nuts. Some of you are giving me faces like I don't believe it, and you shouldn't believe it. That is amazing and wild. And so at 12, she could jump 3 times in the air. And at age 16, well, her body was different than when she was 12. She wasn't as small, because bodies change over time throughout your whole life. She could still jump 3 times in the air, and she won a national championship at age 16, which is really amazing. But she found that after that, she was tired. Not just her body, which if you were jumping 3 times in the air and skating around really fast, you'd be tired too. But she was tired like deep, deep, deep down. She was tired of not being able to see her friends. She was tired of not being able to go to school like a regular kid. She was tired of just everybody telling her what to do all of the time, because the most important thing she was told in her life was that she jumped in the air a lot on ice skates, and she didn't want to do it anymore. So she quit. It was really hard. She told her father, her coach, her teammates that she knew she was really good at ice skating, but she wanted to do some other things. She wanted to be able to skate really fast and feel the wind going through her hair, and she wanted her body to be silly, and she wanted to eat pizza. She loved pizza, and they wouldn't let her eat pizza when she was training to be a national champion. And so she stopped skating for a little while, and she found that once all the pressure went away, once she no longer was only that little girl who could jump really well, she liked skating again. It was funny. She liked moving on the ice. She liked the way her body felt on the ice. And so after a year or 2, she came back to skating on the US team. But her body was different at age 18 than it was at 16. She couldn't do the same types of things. She wasn't as small. You know, like when you fell, you just popped back up. You were fine, right? Can you do that? Yeah. That's normal. Bodies change over time. And the difference between an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old is different. And the difference between an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old, or a 20-year-old and a 40-year-old, or a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old, or a 50-year-old and an 80-year-old, well, our bodies change over time. But she could still jump 3 times in the air. But that wasn't going to be the most important thing to her. She didn't want to win anymore. She just wanted to skate, and she loved skating. She loved jumping. She loved going fast. She loved being silly. She loved to dance on the ice. And so last month at the Olympics, she said she didn't come to win. She came to show people what she could do. She came to have fun. Well, it turns out, if you're an incredible skater and having fun, you're still really, really good. And she won a gold medal. And she showed us, all of us, that one could have fun, be silly and free. She showed us what dancing could look like if you loved what you did. And it wasn't only the thing that controlled your whole life, controlled when you got to see your friends, controlled what your life was like with your family, controlled what your body could be like. She showed us that you could eat a slice of pizza and still win a gold medal on occasion. Alyssa Liu is one of my newest heroes. She's a couple decades younger than me, and I have learned from her a little bit about what it means to have a body that can be silly and free. And so, thank you all for listening to my story. May it continue to unfold in your heart. May you fall and bounce back up. And I invite you to rise, and you'll go off to your classes if you wish, and we will sing you out with our doxology. Hi.
I invite you now into this reverent time of sharing the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, you can place a hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place, because we know so much is going on in our world today. And if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our local or national or global community, you are truly encouraged to do so today and into the future. As Bill places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. John Luke shares a joy that their little Welsh corgi gives so much love and companionship. She's a real joy. Bob Rimley shares that he's thankful that he's mending from injuries. Sorry that he's not here this morning, but shares his love to us all. A joy from Dick and Joyce for Reverend Eileen, who won the Emerging Leader Award from Colgate Rochester Crozier Divinity School. Yes. A joy shared from Michael Scott that for Kelly, her last radiation treatment was this past Friday. Yes. A joy from Mick for having Ella Hoffman with them today. There are some who remember their children when they were young. She is Shannon's daughter, for those that know. Happy for children here today. A sorrow from Theo and Steve Munson for the death of their friend and neighbor, Ed Doherty, a true civic servant of our community. A joy from Hal to celebrate another No Kings March on Saturday the 28th for the U.S. Constitution, health, and science with millions of other U.S. citizens. An anonymous joy shared that they had a great tea party at Sarah's recently. It's part of our service auction. Glad that went well. A joy and sorrow shared by Zeppelin for car troubles, but still being able to get it to a shop and be here today. And a joy from Tom Williams, having fun bowling last week. as part of our fundraiser, correct? Yes. Thank you. Yes, for RAIN, correct? Family Promise. Yes, thank you. All right. Today we share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether read aloud or kept in the silent sanctuaries of our heart. In a moment, those here in person are invited to come forward to drop stones into a bowl. If you need to remain seated, please raise your hand or have someone near you assist so someone can come to you with a bowl to drop stones in. If you're joining us online, please send a heart emoji in place of a stone in the meeting chat. Let us all join now in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. Let this be a reminder that we are never alone in our sorrow, and may our joys be shared to uplift our community. Now that our circle of care is drawn larger, may it increase forevermore.
I invite you to settle into your seat. To feel surrounded by the love of this community, by those who know you here and those who don't. To feel held by a greater love that is present always. I invite you to feel held by the earth, your body pressing down, and in other ways, equal ways, being pressed upon. So many of us come into community like this, into this moment, this sacred hour, to deal with the pressure, the pain of the world. All those who are here carry something in our hearts, something made lighter by simply being in the presence of community. We lift up in this moment, in this circle of care and love, our Muslim siblings wrestling with harassment, our Jewish siblings wrestling with fear, all those who attend school, who go out in public, who live in fear of gun violence in this country. and our trans kin, our siblings, ourselves, for whom the assault upon our dignity does not seem to end. We lift up those wrestling with the violence and displacement of war, those in Iran, in Ukraine, in Gaza, all those impacted by violence, that of nations and geopolitics, that of people and family members close to home. We lift up all those who are wrestling with illness of mind and body, grief or simple loneliness, addiction. May all who carry struggle or pain know the love of this gathering. May those of us who are gathered here in person or online feel the support of those who surround us. May we be lifted up by their love, by each other's presence. May our breath center us. May the earth hold us. And may we forever feel the tug of the invisible strings that extend out between each and every one of us, connecting us into an interdependent web of creation. May the love of this place extend out beyond this moment, beyond this hour. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you now into a time of shared silence, to feel the earth holding you, to feel the love of this place multiply and expand. The prophet Roque Dalton said that they have more death than we, but we have more life than they will ever have. May we declare in our beings, in the pressure that we exert upon the earth and that the earth exerts upon us, that there is more life, more life, more life, and more love. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. I invite you to sing with us our hymn of contemplation, Spirit of Truth, of Life, of Power, number 403. So we're a few weeks now into our pulpit swap, and it is a joy for the fourth year in a row to be with all of you. I bring greetings from First Unitarian across town, and we'll just know that this is a tradition that we look forward to each and every year, and I'm grateful for the invitation to join you again. So we're 3 weeks now, I think, into this sermon series on truth. And we began the sermon series in the season of power, and we find ourselves now drifting into truth. And so this sermon, like most of ours, lies at the intersection of those two things, power and truth, and how they overlap. And over the last few weeks, and in listening to my colleagues' sermons, I've more or less decided that there are two different kinds of truths. There's the kind that slips in easily, that's able to integrate into my life, and I can work it into polite company and conversation. So I myself, I have an infinite capacity, it seems, for strange animal facts. I just add them into my well of knowledge. I don't really do anything with them except for repeat them to all of you. They don't change who I am. For example, I'm delighted to know, but it doesn't alter my being, that otters hold hands when they're sleeping so that they don't drift apart. I know. Isn't that sweet? I hope it does alter your way of being in the world. I'm delighted to know, but it doesn't alter my way of being in the world, to know that dolphins call each other by name through whistling. That's really cool. I'm horrified to know, but it doesn't alter my way of being, that cockroaches can survive for weeks with their heads cut off. I am so sorry, but it's true. All of these things are true, but they're not the kind of truth that is the second kind of truth, the kind of truth that rearranges the furniture of my heart and mind. This second kind of truth that challenges who I am or how I have lived is rude. The kind that when I first encounter it, I don't particularly like, because it makes me shift something that I've spent most of my life thinking or learning. And so one of these truths is that fatness isn't really a problem. The science doesn't bear out. Most of us have been taught that obesity or fatness, just to say it plainly, is something that challenges our health, our way of being. And most of that isn't true. Your minister, the Reverend Eileen Casey-Campbell, has been fond of describing our Unitarian Universalist congregations in this area as brave, fierce congregations who are willing to go with her on almost anything. She could preach death to capitalism week in and week out right here, and you would not bat an eye. But whenever she preaches about fatness, she's got a line a mile long telling her why she is wrong. I've seen it happen in my own congregation. I have had objections, questions, thoughts about what she has told me, because I've spent 40 years being trained to think that fatness is a problem. And my guess is many of you have too. We find ourselves in a moment that much more than 5 years ago, right now, over the past couple of years, thinness is back in fashion. We're finding a ramping up of fat phobia and anti-fat rhetoric. About 1 million absurdities ago in this current reign of terror that we find ourselves in, I first became aware that discussions of fatness would be part of the authoritarian rhetoric and regime that we find ourselves in, or tipping into dramatically, when Pete Hegseth gathered military officials for a big meeting. And one of the clearest things that he had to say was that his tenure would be marked by a purging of fatties. This is incredibly harmful language for anyone who's been called this, and I apologize for saying it from the pulpit, but I want to be clear that our country's highest leaders are saying these things that make them sound like fourth grade bullies. One of the clearest pieces of his agenda, in addition to bombing many places in the world, is that it's no longer permissible to be a part of the US military and have a body that he does not deem acceptable. It must be stronger, thinner, and more male. Fast forward to last month when RFK Jr. and Kid Rock release a video on health, discipline, and essentially the joy of male friendship. I'm being unduly generous here. If you've seen the video, that's not really what's going on, but I wish it were. It's the two of them getting fit together in jeans, and ultimately, it's about controlling bodies. It's about bodies being smaller, about exerting a discipline of control. And thinness becomes a signal not only to what is healthy, but what is good, what is moral, and what is aligned with power. It's a statement on human belonging, and it helps place some clarity between in-groups and out-groups, control and those who need to be controlled. We would do well at this point to remember that past fascist regimes have also been obsessed with bodies. Body control is part and parcel of how authoritarianism is built. And this is how we build a hierarchy of bodies. Gentiles over Jews, men over women, thin over fat, strong over weak, abled over disabled, cis over trans, white over black. This is a part of how superiority complexes of fascism have been constructed. And it's these binaries of control that form the logic of authoritarianism that allows us to rehearse the discipline of control that authoritarians want us, as the general population, to exert, not only on a national level in military service, not only in a governance level in how we employ the bureaucracy of state control, not only in an interpersonal level with how we interact with our neighbors and our fellow members of society, but also internally in our minds and hearts. So it's true that over time, the ways we talk about bodies has changed. Preferences about how bodies look, what's considered sexy, has changed. All of this is culturally constructed. But since the 18th century in this country, there's been a distinct preference and rhetoric to support thinness. And it has an intentional and deeply racialized history. In the 18th century, in the context of enslavement, white women were specifically encouraged to separate their bodies from that of enslaved people of African descent. White women were specifically told to restrict eating, to control their bodies, and to distinguish themselves using the language of the time, though not the language of morality or goodness, I want to be clear, to prove that they weren't animals, to prove that they weren't out of control. White women were asked to distinguish their bodies from that of enslaved women, of black women, in order to create a hierarchy. And this instilled then in white women an understanding that bodies must be made smaller, must be controlled, must be deemed acceptable, because it's this separation, this hierarchy, that makes them good. Right? So not only is the supremacy of thinness racialized in this time, but it's also deeply religious. Clean eating, good food, bad food, food that you eat that makes you bad. All of this is moralizing language that is infused with a quest for purity that was tied up in the whiteness of the 18th century, and quite frankly, the 21st century. It's overlaid with a Christian story about bodies being sinful and something to overcome. But it's supercharged in the 18th century because it can be combined with a very particular brand of racism. Now, in the 21st century, modern America has largely secularized this theology. We've renamed it wellness. But the idea that food or bodies are a reflection they're not a reflection of the ethics of economic systems or food distribution or agricultural practices or the interdependence of all of creation. No, it's a reflection of personal worth in the eyes of God, even in the secular language of wellness. Sonia Renee Taylor writes in The Body is Not an Apology that we are taught through the ideology of thinness to wage war against ourselves. If you can get people to control themselves, then you can get them used to being controlled by other people. In the book Pink Pilled, which talks about women in the alt-right, or what we used to call the alt-right and is now basically mainstream politics, there's a direct pipeline from pro-anorexia and pro-eating disorder websites into radicalization pipelines of fascism, white supremacy, and alt-right ideologies. A lot of these have the same funders. There's not even a separation between the two. Some of this takes advantage of the fact that when you are calorie restricted, it's a lot harder to think critically about conspiracies and ideas being shoved down your throat. You're more susceptible. You're more susceptible to ideologies that tell you, because you feel so bad about yourself, that others are less than you. The war on our bodies rages on outside, but inside as well. And we see this now in a totalitarian attempt to wage war on black and brown bodies. ICE isn't out of Minnesota. ICE continues in Vermont. ICE continues to ramp up here in Western New York, building the war on bodies. And it is directly tied to teaching us to wage war on our own bodies. Thinness is in again, and this is both a technique and symptom of tyranny, and it's also a direct distraction from the real challenges of our world. If we are too busy constricting calories, we don't have time to protest. If we are too busy not eating, if we are too busy worrying about how we look, if we are too busy worrying that we are not good enough, we can't muster the energy to be strong enough to counter authoritarianism. We cannot become the sand in the gears of tyranny. So if we're able to fight fascism, if we want to fight fascism, we have to be able to rearrange the furniture within us that has taught us that fatness in and of itself is a problem. Even if we can't move ourselves towards body positivity, we can at least give it less airtime in our heads. Most of the scientific research that has taught us that obesity is linked to ill health outcomes have been disproven in the last 10 or 20 years. Most of those health outcomes have been tied to the lack of care offered to fat people. So many of us have spent most of our lives being taught and believing that we must work towards an ideal that we don't have to work toward anymore. And when someone tells me that, when someone offers me that kind of truth, I find it rude. I find it challenging. I find it pretty darn frustrating to think that perhaps I have wasted minutes, hours, years of my life fighting a fight I didn't have to fight. But I find myself at a moment now in history and society where past regrets cannot stop me from keeping my eyes trained on the fights that must be fought right now. So we must learn to treat our bodies ideally with kindness and with joy, to learn that we can jump and move and that our bodies will change, that when our bodies can no longer jump physically, our hearts can, our ways of being together can. We must learn to do the things that feel good in our bodies so that our bodies not only can be a tool for justice in the world, but can be what they were created to be. Ours, good, beautiful. I'm glad that Alyssa Liu won the gold medal. She deserved it fully. But even if she hadn't, I would have seen something on the ice that would have felt like winning to me. A woman liberated and free, who knew not only that her power lied in being strong, but also in being silly and enjoying herself. To win the war on bodies means to win a war that wages in our relationships and in our hearts and minds. It allows us to spend our energy fighting where we are needed. And as a community, we can hold ourselves accountable and joyful in this work. We can interrupt diet culture. We can learn to compliment people not on their weight loss or even their appearance, but on other things that we find beautiful about each other. And there's always something beautiful to find about the person in front of you. We can find compelling things about the people who surround us, things that make them interesting. It might mean we might need to be more curious to learn more about them. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I believe we can build a world where our bodies are celebrated in community, where we can find joy with one another, and where we will no longer accept a world where we will make ourselves smaller. Because this world needs every single one of us, and we need every last bit of you. May it be so.
Please join in our closing hymn 1053.
Please remain standing as Bill extinguishes our chalice flame this morning. We'll read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, keep its light in our hearts, with its message of love and justice, taking it out. Whether jumping or being silly, feeling the wind through our hair or feeling powerful or struggling, may we know our bodies to be a gift, even when they weren't or aren't what somebody else told us that they needed to be, even when that someone was us. May we know that our bodies are worthy of love. May each of us know that we are worthy of love. You are loved, and you are beautiful. Amen. So as we close our service this morning, I invite you to place a hand over your heart. And if you're joining us online, I invite you to turn your settings to gallery view and look upon the faces of those who are here with you. For those of us in the room, we'll take a moment to look around at our beautiful companions on screen and here in the room. Well, I see that I messed up the order of things, as we do in our pulpit swaps. And I know that the love of this circle extends. I know that we gather in spirit to pour love into our bodies so that we might go out into the world and pour love into the whole beautiful world. Everyone's invited to join us for coffee hour immediately after the service in the Clara Barton Lounge or online in the current Zoom room. We hope to see you there.
Yep. So I just want to invite you today to hear this song as a musical meditation, if you will, and just sit back in your pews, let your shoulders relax, maybe even close your eyes. The name of this song is I Am Light. It's by India Ari. It was a request by Reverend Shari. And what I want to remind you is that we are all light. And our light is what makes this beautiful church shine. So this is I Am Light.
The things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 Yeah, yeah. I am light. I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light, is all light, all light, all light. I am 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 divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all.